All right. Hello, Tide fans. Welcome to Tide Talk. I'm your host, Sean Taylor. In the studio here with my buddy Jimmy. Jimmy's feeling a little bit better. Hopefully he won't cough through the show. Got Maurice Booth down in Panama City Beach. Maurice, good to see you. Hope you had a good Christmas.
It did. Good to see y'all. Happy holidays.
Yep, happy holidays. So, Tide fans, just real quick, I want to pause for a moment and just tell you guys to continue to think and pray for the Bowles family. Ryan was tragically killed right before Christmas, and he was a member of our team. He helped produce the show, so I just want to throw that out there for you guys to keep the Bowles family in your prayers. All right. Absolutely. Maurice, you and I were chatting a little bit yesterday, and I know Jimmy was on there too. We don't want to always include him and give him props, but
right.
We were talking a little bit just about the fact that early on in the year, you talked about you felt like there was something different about this team. We wasn't really sure because it was early and things were, but you said there was something different, that this seemed more like a team.
Mm-hmm.
Want to comment on that now that we're 13 games in and getting ready to play in the Rose Bowl for the playoffs? I mean, I feel like you may have hit the nail on the head.
Well, I never think it's a good sign when you have a players only meeting, because that means that something's not quite right. And we all go back to the SEC media days where they wanted to be the best and accept the challenge, and then we saw. The only thing that surprised me about the Texas game is how dominant or one-sided it seemed to have been. And then I really think Saban is pretty good at manipulating players mentally or getting their direction straight. And I think that's what happened in South Florida. And then after that, you saw players really kind of supporting each other. That it was them against the world type of mentality and chip on the shoulder. Nobody's believing you, even alumni, former players are questioning your abilities. I won't say manhood, but your abilities. And then you saw it in big games like with A&M and then Ole Miss, and you saw them all just playing together as a unit. Didn't have to be pretty, didn't have to be a blowout, but you saw a cohesiveness that you just kind of felt. And it's what I love about this team. And I mean, say that there are no stars. I mean, gee whiz, there's, loaded with 4 and 5 stars. But there, as we said, there's no Will Anderson, there's no Bryce Young. But these guys, I mean, when you tell somebody that was a high school stud and that can play at this level, hey, you're not good enough, or y'all aren't good enough, and then it starts there. There's commonality that they band together and support, and I think that's how we've gotten to where we are with the video I sent yesterday of the Lank jerseys and so forth. So, and for those of you that are watching, that I sent it to Jimmy and Sean, is Terrion Arnold and Jalen Milroe that were presenting gifts to the entire team. And it was a jersey with Lank and their name or their numbers on it, meaning now that they can profit off of their numbers for them specifically, just to give a gift that will be financially incompletely legal.
Right.
They didn't create this. The NCAA allowed it. So, name another team where one teammate or group of teammates made sure that everybody else on the team will be able to profit and make money.
Yeah,
that's
so
how to
let all naysayers know, right? That was brought the team together. It's crazy to think, but for a couple of years, we were sitting in this studio on this show, doing this show, talking about, man, something's missing. This team doesn't seem like the old teams of the past. And we talked about, well, is it the transfer portal? Is it the NIL? We're bringing in these guys. What does that locker room look like? We discussed that for a couple of years. And, you know, again, and for those 2 years, all you heard about was Bryce Young, Will Anderson, Bryce Young, Will Anderson, Bryce Young, Will Anderson. Well, again, we didn't have that coming in this year. And I think absolutely that has everything to do with the fact that we do seem more, the chemistry seems to be better, that team spirit that you're playing for the team, not necessarily for myself. It just seems different this year. Even though, yes, again, it didn't mean this season's been perfect. It hadn't been by no means. I mean, there has been our struggles. We've seen good and bad, but it doesn't change the fact that this team seems to be a little different than the last couple of seasons, in my opinion.
Do y'all remember the conversation early on when we were talking about this in particular? We were talking about this team and you know, losing Will Anderson and Bryce Young, and I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't know that y'all will give me the credit for it, but I'm pretty sure I said that I thought that it would cause us to come together, because I thought in the previous year's season, too many times the team depended on Bryce Young to make a big play and or Will Anderson to make a big play. And this year, everybody's doing it. You're seeing guys all over the place. Caleb Downs as a true freshman, you know, we can go on and on about him, but then other names, a big BA. I think I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but the big defensive end. I mean, he stepped up this year. Braswell stepped up this year. We didn't talk a whole lot about Braswell prior to this year, but he stepped up this year.
We didn't really talk about Terrion Arnold.
Terrion Arnold. I mean, everybody talks about Kool-Aid McKinstry, but you talk about Terrion Arnold. You know, everybody kind of anticipated Dallas Turner, but, you know, Deontay Lawson, and then the backup, Jihad Campbell, when Lawson would go out. So these guys have stepped up because they are more of a team as opposed to just relying on one or two players to make plays. And I think that is, in fact, one of the reasons that we are where we are. You know, it's great to have the Will Anderson and the Bryce Youngs. I don't want that to be misunderstood. Great to have them, but I think sometimes, especially the younger guys, you know, oh my gosh, we're in a tough situation. Well, Bryce is going to pull us out of this. You know, Bryce is going to make a play, or Will's going to make a play. And this year, you know, everybody was making plays. And I think that's just, you know, just a testament to this team being a team. And like you said, we've talked about it early on, the chip on the shoulder. They made the statement in the SEC media days that they wanted to play with a chip on their shoulder. In the first two games, we're talking about, well, where's the chip? You know, we were looking for that. So, yeah, I think that's a big part of this team being a team. And I think you mentioned it, Maurice. I think Nick Saban has done a fantastic job with bringing this group together, along with Kevin Steele and Tommy Rees. We had our doubts about Tommy Rees, but I think he's done a really good job.
I don't like to brag. I really do, though. So I got it right, and nobody else did. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. So today I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, am I done?
But listen, we're going to go to a break here in just a minute, because there's a few things I still got to talk about. Everybody's talking about the whole CFP committee and the selection, and we as a group hadn't really had a chance to discuss that on camera anyway. We've talked about it in our group text, but we're going to talk about that when we come back for the second segment. But again, this football team has been as much of a team as I've seen in Alabama for a few years. You know, they have pulled together. Everybody's chipped in. Everybody's played a part, even down to Will Riker and Burnham as the specialists. So let's pause right there for just a second. Let's take a short break. Hold your seats, Tide fans. We'll be right back with Tide Talk.
Get in the game with Beam, offering speeds up to a 1 gig. Just like your favorite quarterback, we deliver with precision and reliability. Stream the game in HD from anywhere in your home without interruption thanks to Beam's internet. When you don't need a gig, choose 100 meg with Beam for $30 a month. Experience reliable, high-speed internet for what you need. Beam, the choice you deserve. Bringing the game to your home.
All right, we're ready.
All right, welcome back, Tide fans. Listen, guys, we've all talked since, I mean, we were talking right before they made the announcement. All of the controversy, if you want to call it controversy, all of the stuff with respect to the CFP. And yes, we're Tide fans. You know, we're certainly wanting to see ourselves in the playoffs, and we got there. Maurice, I'm gonna go with you first. What is your thought with respect to the committee dropping Georgia from 1 to 6, never happened in the playoff era, and leaving out an unranked conference champion? What's your thought?
I have had this discussion. I can't tell you how many times I live in the great state of Florida, and daughter graduated from Georgia, so I've had this conversation ad nauseum. And I'm not saying this as just as a Bama fan. Now, I did say that night after we beat Georgia, I still think that Georgia belongs in the top 4. The problem with the committee is there's only four members that are former player or coach, and they're not recognizable names for the most part. The rest are ADs and a journalist, which is not the purpose or not what the content of the committee was supposed to be as it was originally formed. It was supposed to be people in football that could recognize good teams. So there was a team with 1 loss versus a team with 0 losses. It was to eliminate or prevent another 1984 where BYU wins the national championship by playing a 6-5 Michigan team. So I don't have Florida State's strength of schedule was 55th. Their best win was our 3rd best win. Now, to me, what everybody is missing, the complaint should be against Michigan. They had, and I'm not talking about the scandal, but their strength of schedule was right on par with Florida State's, yet everybody viewed them as some type of powerhouse that they're so much better than Florida State. When they created a 14 playoff and you have 5 conferences, 5 Power 5 conferences, somebody's going to be left out.
Yeah.
It wasn't until this last year of the 14 that it finally caught up with them. So do I believe everybody knows in their heart of hearts, even the ones that don't want us there, the reason they don't want us there is because we're Alabama and we are that good. You could see the reaction from the Michigan players when they announced who they would be playing. I would put Georgia in ahead of Florida State, let alone even if they had Travis Hunter. I thought Florida State had a decent defense. I didn't think their offense was all that. And I don't think that they could compete with 2 of the best SEC teams, my opinion.
Jimmy.
Yeah. So do I think the committee got it right? Absolutely. I think they got it right. Doesn't mean there aren't teams that probably have an argument that they could have gotten in, Georgia obviously being one of them. Florida State, you can still say they have an argument, but I still think they got it right. I'm with you, Mo. I don't know why. Well, I do know why all the hate is towards Alabama. One, and most of it is Auburn people because they're Auburn people. The other one are the ones that, again, outside of, say, the SEC, just don't want Alabama in there. But I don't know why people aren't more upset about Michigan getting in. I'm thinking because of the controversy. I mean, their head coach he didn't even get to coach half the season because
he missed half the year.
I mean, so, and their strength, like you said, their strength of schedule, maybe they got a better quality win against the Ohio State team. I don't know who Florida State's quality win technically
LSU
was. But yeah, I don't know why people aren't screaming more about why Michigan's in versus why Alabama's in. But yeah, but I mean, they got it right in my opinion. But absolutely, a Georgia, even a Florida State being undefeated, they certainly have arguments as to, why. Sure.
If you want to have a discussion with a Georgia fan and they ask why, and I've had this discussion saying that y'all don't belong in, why do y'all belong in? I said, well, name another team that had a bigger win than we did. We beat the #1 team. Unless you're telling me that your team really wasn't that good.
Right.
Which one?
Listen, I hate it. I hate it for the Florida State players. It's unfortunate. They did everything that they could possibly do as far as players. With respect to Georgia, I thought Georgia should have been in. in my opinion, I had Alabama, Texas, Georgia, and Washington is who I would have, if I had a vote, that's who I would have picked with respect to strength of schedule, quality wins, so I hate it for the players. At the end of the day, I do believe that everyone knows that it is very likely that Alabama will be playing for a national championship, which is the reason that they do not want us in. I just firmly believe that that is the mentality. As you said, Maurice, did you see Michigan's players' response when they flashed Alabama up at number 4? I mean, it was like they had just lost their best friend. I mean, that is a statement in itself, in my opinion. I mean, that is a statement in itself, just their reaction. But I do believe, the additional teams, the 12-team playoffs, going to be better, but they're going to run into issues with that as well. If they don't get the strength of schedule with a higher percentage, you're going to continue to have issues because, everybody that kept saying Florida State, they were undefeated and they won their conference. Well, then why isn't Liberty in the top 4? Because they're undefeated and they won their conference.
Right.
But everyone knows it's no different than UCF years ago when they went undefeated. They didn't play anybody. Right. So they're going to have, in my opinion, they're going to have to correct if there's a point system, if there's a value, based on head-to-head, strength of schedule, et cetera, that's got to go up. Because if you go back to, if you go back years,
the BCS, that's what they use. That was one of the biggest, that was one of their formulas, or part of their formula.
Well, they got to bring that back, in my opinion, because we've always played strong out of conference. We do have those games with Chattanooga, but we do that also with respect to the fact that we always played a Florida State, a Wisconsin, a Virginia Tech, a Texas out of conference. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's got to be more added to that, because otherwise they're going to run into this issue even with.
Well, Greg Burns said it best. If we didn't get in, then we would just, drop the Texases, of the world for out of conference and just, pick up the 1 AA schools, because you're not taking.
We'll play Ball State, right. Teams like that. So I definitely think that they have to tweak some things, but I do believe 12 teams will be better. Maurice, we're going to go to a break in just a second, but with respect to Georgia not getting in, 1-6, in my mind, Georgia was in regardless. I think that's probably a bigger slap than Florida State, to be honest.
But, go back to, like, if you had somebody like Barry Alvarez that was on the original committee, or the Coach Johnson that was at Vanderbilt, players and coaches. I think there was only one on there. That was the former Wake Forest coach, Clawson, I believe, that was on the committee. You need more of these guys that can sit there and evaluate a game or film and go, no, this team has, more speed. This team has more physicality. This team has a better scheme. It's just, and to put it in the hands of athletic directors and one journalist for the majority of it, that's where you messed up. Because if not, then heck, let's just go back to AP.
Alabama versus Michigan. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Hold your seats, Tide fans. We'll be right back with Tide Talk.
Get in the game with Beam, offering speeds up to a 1 gig. Just like your favorite quarterback, we deliver with precision and reliability. Stream the game in HD from anywhere in your home without interruption, thanks to Beam's internet. When you don't need a gig, choose 100 meg with Beam for $30 a month. Experience reliable, high-speed internet for what you need. Beam, the choice you deserve. Bringing the game to your home.
All right, welcome back, Tide fans. So, hey, at the end of the day, we made it. We're in. We're back at the Rose Bowl.
That brings back a few memories.
Brings back a few memories. Yes, it does. I've already had several conversations about that, about the greatest
Are
trip.
y'all
I've ever
going? Are
No,
y'all
we're-
going?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just timing, too expensive. I got, man, but, and I don't know that you could ever top the trip
No,
that we
you can't
took
top that trip.
back in 2010. Do you remember that when
Yeah,
Jimmy and
the
I?
one, yeah,
Vincent-
the one that, the one that y'all didn't invite me on. I remember that.
That'll take up 3
Yeah,
seconds.
that'll take up 3 seconds.
I'm still
Uh,
emotionally
Jimmy, I'm gonna
scared.
start with you. Number one, Michigan, all the hype, with respect to their defense. I feel like, and listen, I don't know, maybe I am wrong, maybe I am just too confident, but I just feel like it's a beatdown.
So I've been going back and forth. Obviously, we've had 3 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks to think about this matchup and dissect it. I read more stuff and see more people's takes on it, follow enough people to kind of get their opinion on what they're thinking. And man, I'm like you. I mean, initially I thought, man, they don't have a chance. Obviously, they have a chance. I mean, they are a decent football team. They're experienced. They do like to run the football. But I mean, if you really dive into their statistics or statistically how they run the ball, they were better a year or two ago. I mean, the last couple of years than they are this year. Again, that argument about who have they played. I mean, they played some of the worst defenses in the country, and they've also played some of the worst offenses in the country. So again, that all those things are skewed. You can throw those out the window. The one thing I have looked at that I think is going to be a key. They're plus 17 in the turnover ratio, which is 2 in the country, which means they obviously cause a lot of turnovers and don't turn the ball over much. And again, that's kind of, coach speech.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
I mean, so we can't turn the ball over. We can't have those stupid turnovers or costly turnovers. And I'm also going to be interesting to see how it is officiated. Man, we have talked about how bad the officiating's been. Just ask any other fan base that's lost a game to Alabama, and they'll tell you that, how bad it is. It's always in our favor, which is funny how
Right.
that always is the case. But so I'm going to be interested to see how it's officiated. Is it going to be ticky-tacky? Is it going to be,
They just let them
officiated?
play a little bit.
They're going to let them play. Is it going to be, again, lopsided one way or the other? So those to me are going to be the keys. The no turnovers or limiting the turnovers, and see how it's going to be officiated. Because again, all things being equal, we have more talent. We have more explosive plays. I mean, you just check off basically every box, which kind of makes me surprised that they're actually favored. So I like the matchup. I cannot see them just running it down our throats like they think they're going to be able to do. Their quarterback and their receivers absolutely do not worry me at all. I guarantee you, again, when they watching film on us, they don't want those matchups.
Right.
There's no way they can look at our film and say, yeah, we got an advantage there.
Maurice?
My turn?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, Jimmy is right. They are one of the better teams as far as turnovers. Not only that, but they I think they're either first or second in the country as far as scoring off a turnover. So that's huge. Not only do they get the ball, but they do something with it. Now, in contrast to that, they are, I want to say, 67th total offense, 60th in rushing offense, which surprised me. And even worse in passing offense. So yeah, I stopped Corum, their 1,000-yard rusher, shut him down. And everybody says, well, Auburn ran all over you. Well, Auburn's actually got number 15th rated rushing offense in the country, so they're not bad as far as running the ball. And you give Saban time, he'll address, and Kevin Steele will address as far as stopping the run. I see our DBs having a good day. I'm like Jimmy, JJ McCarthy. I'll let you have, put the ball in your hands, and I think our DBs can have a good day. Officiating, you can't do anything about. Turnovers, you can do something about. So the matchup will come down to our offense, which isn't as high, but has gotten better versus their highly ranked defense, which I think is number 2 in the country. But then again, to Jimmy's point, they haven't really the Big Ten offenses outside of Maryland is nothing to write home about. So, yeah, I think it's a fourth quarter game, but now keep in mind, they're going to have about 15 players drafted in the first 2 rounds. They're talented. So don't get confused on that, but we'll take it in the fourth quarter.
I've read stuff and I've watched a little bit of Michigan stuff. I hope. I don't see this being a close game. I don't think they've played a talented offense like us. I don't think they've seen, and y'all are gonna laugh when I say this. I don't think they've seen an offensive line like ours.
No, it's most improved. That one of the most areas of our team that's most improved.
We've had our struggles there, but we've progressively gotten better. As a matter of fact, I want to say that the freshman Proctor, who really struggled early, scored out the highest in the SEC championship game, got the highest score for the offensive line. But I'm going to say this to you, and somebody else made a point.
To me,
Foster being at right guard was the turning point for our offense. And you made that comment numerous times on the show. And there's been a couple of commentators say the same thing. When Foster was input in the right guard position, replacing Damian Dalcourt, our offense made a big turn. And so I say that to say, I don't think they've played an offense like ours. They have certainly not played a quarterback like Jalen Milroe. Now, he's got to play a good football game. We can't miss, open receivers, and we can't turn the football over, and he can't hold on to it forever. But if he plays well, we will beat them by 2 touchdowns. I have no doubts about it. And I don't think they've seen a defense like ours. The speed in the back, our linebackers, I just don't believe they have played a team as good as Alabama.
And keep in mind,
if Georgia won, they wouldn't. Georgia would win out, in my opinion. Yeah. I just don't think that they've seen a team like what they're about to see.
I think Alabama, Georgia, Texas would all beat Michigan.
I agree.
And Milroe is only as good as their backup quarterback,
according to
Harbaugh.
How you like that little thing I sent you last night? That's pretty.
It's out there. It's made its round now. It's out there.
Because he just said that he was playing at a very high level, and we put things in place for him, and he does it very good, and et cetera. So.
If that wasn't a backhanded compliment, I don't know what.
No, absolutely. So it's time to make predictions. We got to get some score predictions. Maurice, I'll let you go first.
I'm going to say 24-6. And we really kind of take over there in the fourth.
Yeah, again, they are a good team. They're experienced. They have some guys like that they'll be drafted. I'm like you, Sean. They haven't. Traditionally, these Big Ten schools, when they play an SEC team in this type of game, they have not seen the athleticism on both sides of the ball. So, from a prediction standpoint, I don't know if it's going to be. I think it'll be a little bit closer. I am predicting maybe like a 31-13, a 31-16 kind of game.
38-17, maybe 42-17. I think we. I could be wrong, but I think we run away with it. But here's what we will know for sure. Monday, New Year's Day at 5 o'clock, we'll find out. Well, it'll be about 8 o'clock, but we'll find out. 5 Eastern, 4 Central, and we will come back and do the show, and hopefully we'll be talking about preparations for a national championship. Maurice, thanks for joining us. Jimmy, thanks for being here. Let's say hey to our buddy Dale, who's in our audience for us. Thanks for joining us, Dale. Tide fans, we'll be right back here on Channel 207 to discuss the win against Michigan in the Rose Bowl and preparations for a national championship. Roll Tide.
Remember the Rose Bowl, we'll win then.